So today I'm sitting with Bridgette Jackson from Equal Exes.
Hi everybody.
We're going to sit together and talk about divorce and menopause and all the things surrounding that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so thank you for taking the time to sit with me this morning.
Well, Jemma, thanks so much for having me part of it. I'm really excited.
Cool.
It's going to be a great podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. So divorce and menopause.
Yes.
There's two hugely emotional things happening at the same time.
Absolutely. And it's the prime age for people actually in terms of separating.
Yeah.
You know, because the clients that I see range from about late 30s through to sort of late 50s. Mm-hmm. And in terms of menopause, you know, that can even start in sort of mid 30s or even earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
creates a lot of disarray.
Yeah.
You know, for relationships. And what I see in my business is 60 to 70% of women actually initiate separations. It's not the men.
Yeah, I read that on your site. Why would that be? What's the link?
Well, I think that men tend to be happy. Well, not happy, but just to be in mediocre or less relationships, just sort of continue along. Mm-hmm. And it's likened to, sort of relates to the woman walk away syndrome in terms of women suddenly leave because they're sick of doing everything and not getting the companionship and then the love that they need in terms from their partner. Mm-hmm. That seems to be very, very common. So women are running away from their relationships because of hormones, basically. When women are at this age, they've got less estrogen. So in terms of that, the feelings of love for others and the urge to take care of others, you know, the nurturing mothers that we are, it's not there. You know, women's mindset changes from we to me. Hence why they're running away with the walk away wife syndrome. So that's I see that a lot.
Yeah, and I guess that's, you know, you've got the physiological changes, the divorce, the children possibly moving to university or out of town, or, you know, so there's so much happening all at once that probably would also complement that transition from we to me.
Yeah. Oh, look, and both of these issues are at the top of the stress continuum. You know, they really are. So even just coping with menopause on its own, or a divorce, whether that's amicable or high conflict, you know, it is a time in your life that is going to be massively challenged. So, you know, what I believe is that if you can communicate with your partner about what's going on, and they will engage in this process with you too in terms of making sure that you're listened to and heard, then it can actually help save a shaky marriage.
Yes.
It is well known that women who do have a supported partner through the process have a much smoother transition through menopause. So, you know, I really believe that you can get through this with the support from family and friends, particularly from your partner and those specialists or experts that you need to consult.
Yeah, that's it. Because, you know, the key things that you touched on, like lack of companionship, feeling, you know, doing too much, not having enough support. I suppose if you're talking about those things sooner, they don't become big problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And that obviously at the same time, if you're going through menopause, you know, potentially you're having to look after elderly parents, or they may even be living in the same home, and that obviously creates issues. Yeah. You're not feeling great about yourself, you know, in terms of weight gain, insomnia, worried about not performing at work even because you're not feeling yourself, depression, concerns about sex, because you do end up with having low libido. A lot of people do, a lot of women do, in terms of at that time in their lives. Yeah. And they're not sharing this information or how they're feeling from a behavioural or physical aspect with their partners. Yes. You know, a lot of women don't want to talk about it.
Yes. I think we were talking offline a little bit about the fact that historically women's health has kind of been one of those things that you just keep to yourself. It has always been just
taboo. Yeah,
taboo.
Absolutely. It's a life transition, and we can't talk about it, and it doesn't affect our life. And women actually end up feeling really lonely and really isolated. Mm-hmm. But the wonderful thing is, particularly in the last year or so, what we've seen is the education that's happening.
Yes.
The specialists and experts in this area are now talking about it. It's talked a lot about in the workplace and taken into account. And that's just fantastic. It's hugely important because I see, as I said, I see a lot of this in my business. Women saying to me, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just don't want to be with him or her anymore. There's all these sort of things happening for me. But what I have heard from a lot of women who have gone on HRT is it's actually changed their lives. There obviously was the controversy about 20 years ago in terms of it causes breast cancer, potentially other cancers going on HRT. But it's been brought to light, Nikki Bezant has even mentioned it, that that's not the case.
Okay.
And you're in line with that, when people are going through divorce and separations, we see a lot of addiction issues, drugs, alcohol, other sort of addictions, gambling, etc. And drugs and alcohol actually do exacerbate any issues that women have in relation to, obviously, menopause.
Interesting. Yes. So these coping strategies are actually a short-term gain, long-term pain, almost.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not exercising, over-exercising, overeating, under-eating.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. All of that. Nutrition as well is a huge, huge thing. I think it comes back to your well-being. And if you're not able to love yourself and put yourself first at times in terms of focusing on your mental health and your well-being, how can you look after children or look after others? It just doesn't happen. So I urge all women to actually put themselves first at times.
Yes.
Particularly if you have children, you become very selfless.
Yes.
And the walk-away woman syndrome, it's a woman say to me, I do everything for him. I just about wipe his bottom even, in terms of predominantly the husband,
Yes.
I do everything for him.
Yeah.
And women are making a stand now and not putting up with it.
So what sorts of things can you be doing? So there's the two things happening at the same time. There's the physiological changes happening for women, and then there's the relationship changes.
Yeah.
So usually people react when they're in the middle of the worst of stuff. You put up with things, it keeps getting progressively worse. But what sorts of things, when do you know you need to put things in place?
Well, when you need to put things in place when you feel like your relationship has changed. You feel like you're unwell in yourself. All of those, there's so many symptoms that you can have in terms of menopause or perimenopause. And your behaviour changes. You might be mood swings, which your partner's wondering what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I like to call it midlife insurance. And what that means is you both need to, for the woman, for example, you actually need to share with your partner what's going on. It's really, really important. So that communication, coming back to the communication again in terms of not shutting him or her out, let him or her know what you need. Understand too that he or she might be confused by your changes.
Yes.
Tracking your menopause symptoms and treatment options. Go and see a GP or a specialist about what potentially medication is going to work for you, whether it's HRT or other. Coming back to making a commitment to a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Are you eating pies all day, every day? Are you actually eating anything? How many drinks are you having a week? Are you sleeping? Building a support group, because you're not alone in all of this. Women are finding their voices and being heard now. So join a menopause, perimenopause support group. Reach out to experts who are involved in this area. if you're not happy in your relationship, go and see a counsellor or a therapist. We're happy to refer people to those. People don't do anything about their relationship issues for 6 years. And by the time 6 years rolls around, the horse is bolted.
Yes.
And women actually emotionally leave a relationship 2 years before they leave physically.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's lots of opportunities before that time, really, if 6 years of things, progressively deteriorating.
Deal with the elephants in the room.
Yeah.
Rip off the Band-Aids.
Yeah.
It's really important that people do that. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have any regrets. As I say to clients, don't leave any stone unturned in terms of trying to make your relationship work. Mm-hmm. But inevitably, not all relationships are meant to be for whatever reason.
Yes.
Sex, because men focus on the sex thing. Men love sex. Mm-hmm. And that is a real issue, as we talked about, with low libido for women, particularly in the perimenopause, menopause age.
Yes.
And women have got to be receptive to making adjustments in relation to lovemaking activities. If that's not working for them, go and see a sex specialist, a sexologist. Go to your GP. Go down and get some devices, some creams. Coming back to putting yourself first, pampering yourself. Go and treat yourself to a massage once a month or something, or put aside some money to do that. You need to be feeling like your well-being needs to come first, as I said. That's really important before you can be anything to anyone else. And this can be hard at times, particularly in the current environment we're in at the moment, with everything going on, financial crisis. Is try to stay positive. Mm-hmm. It's the old saying, isn't it? This too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. So from a male perspective, she wants to be listened to and be heard by him. Don't criticise her or try to fix her. All right. Not going to happen.
That doesn't just apply to menopause, though.
No, absolutely. We could sit here for hours and talk about relationships. Go with the flow and be prepared for mood swings, for example. Be compassionate and validate her experience, but don't, obviously, as I said, try and fix her. Be romantic. Take her flowers. When was the last time you gave her flowers? I hope it wasn't 20 years ago. You know? Make dinner. Surprise her. Make it about her. Continue to have those date nights. We know how hard that is, particularly when you've got children.
Well, the timing, your children probably are getting toward that university age if you're around the 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
And then so that's a third probably factor of emotional things that you're dealing with is the children leaving and your...
Absolutely. When my eldest left, I was like, I'd been waiting for it for years to happen, thinking, I can't wait. But then when the time comes, it's actually...
Yeah.
It's an end of an era, really.
And a whole new set of routines probably for you as well, new things to think about.
Absolutely. And what we see in our business too is the fact that we find, a lot of people are staying in relationships until the children leave, and children are actually staying later now too because of the expense. But also the children leave and they look at each other and go, God, we've got nothing in common anymore, so we're going to separate. Women like to be cuddled. Women like the physical intimacy, the touching. Tell her that you do love her and make her feel beautiful. It not means you need to go and spend loads of money on them, but just, what is your love language?
Yes.
Yes. Support each other in healthy eating and exercising. Do it together, I've been working with clients who are doing that, and they come in and go, I've lost 14 kilos, and that's fantastic. I'm not drinking as much as I was, and because that stuff is actually going to internally and externally not make you feel good. Don't ignore her menopause symptoms. Talk about it and ask her what she needs to feel better. It might just be she needs a cuddle and a bunch of flowers on the table, Offer support if she needs to go to the specialist or the doctor, and in terms of discussing her libido, depression, crankiness, even offer to go with her. If these fail, give her some space so she can focus on herself. Say to her, look, go out and have a coffee with a friend, or, you know, I've got this voucher for you to go to the spa, you know, for 2 hours. It needs to be, you know, this is a huge life transition, and as we have so many transitions in life, you know, life is constantly changing, and you've both got to have the real expectations and acknowledge that your relationship goes through all of these transitions. And if you can understand that, it's going to help you to weather those difficult times. And I think that success of your relationship is being able to transition as a partnership, as a team, you know, through this.
That little nugget there, that was beautiful. A really nice summary for that. I think a lot of what I've heard you describing is around resilience as well, resilience and communication. So if your significant other's going through these changes and there's new emotional things happening, new physiological things happening, having enough resilience in yourself to support her through those changes, and know that probably, you know, while there'll be emotional things happening and unexpected things happening, it's not personal for you, and that you need to sort of
be the rock. Absolutely, it's not about you, it's about her.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, you know, relationships do go through ups and downs at times, inevitably. You know, no relationship is perfect. I think if it's 80% good, you know, 80% great, good, that's a fantastic relationship.
Yeah.
And fighting is good, you know. Not having any fights is not good.
Yes.
And having those realistic expectations versus the unrealistic.
Yes.
You know, we have 60 questions that we have developed. It was actually in the Herald the other day, a couple of weeks ago, talking about before you commit to a relationship, do you actually know enough about each other? You know? Are you a spender? Are you a saver? What would you do what's been the most stressful situation that you've come across? What's your credit report like, rating like, and all of those sort of things? Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's not who you have children with. Sorry, it's not who you get married to, it's who you have children with.
Yes.
Because you're going to have to deal with them for the rest of your life.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, and I'm just really pleased that we are all out there now talking about it. And I think if men can actually feel like, I think a lot of men actually feel like, oh God, I can't say anything, I'm going to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But if they do some research and get educated in terms of, like I've just talked about, how they can actually play their part in this, it's going to be so positive and then actually make their relationship better. You know? She'll be like, well, he is listening to me. He is making me feel special. He understands in his own way what I'm going through. You know, I think that's gold. If that's happening in your relationship, speak up.
Yes.
Say something before it's too late.
Yes.
As we talked about 6 years.
Yes. And you want to be on the right side of those statistics, at 65% initiated by women.
60 to 70%. And there was a UK study, as I said.
Yeah.
7 out of 10 women. And with the 70%, 60 to 70% initiating divorce in my business, I think up till recently only 20% actually realised it was because of menopause.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's why conversations like this are so important, because you can pull the curtain back and say, hey, look, you know, these things are happening to people and it's normal. And there are things you can do.
It's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
People haven't got ESP though.
Yeah.
You know, you need to tell them what's going on. You know, have a regular counsellor or psychologist if you need that. Do what you can do to make your well-being optimal in terms of where it needs to be. Life is no dress rehearsal, is it? You don't want to have any regrets in life.
No.
You know? And relationships are so important. You don't want to throw a relationship away because you both haven't, two parties need to be in a relationship to make it work.
Yeah.
And if there's stuff going on, you need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Communicate. And if you need to get a couples counsellor involved to help you as an intermediary in the first instance, do it.
That's amazing.
Pleasure.
I'll leave some links for Bridgette so that if you want to extend the conversation or figure out what steps you need to be taking in your particular situation, you can go straight through because, as you can see, she's very easy to talk to. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Appreciate it.